Let's move on to the fourth unit, temperature measurement. Before going into the temperature measurements, let's define what is temperature with the help of three forms. The first is thermal state of a body which distinguishes a hot body from a cold body. The second is thermal state of a body which determines whether it will give heat to or receive heat from other bodies. And the last is, according to the second law of thermodynamics, it states that heat flows on a cord from a body at higher temperature to the body at lower temperature. Yes, we have seen the definitions. Now we move on to the standards. There are basically two standards that has to be followed for temperature. The first is a lower fixed point and the next is a higher fixed point. The lower fixed point defines the ice point, which is 0 degrees centigrade, and it goes like the temperature of the distilled water melting under a pressure of 760 mm of mercury defines the ice point, and the higher fixed point, the temperature of pure water boiling under a pressure of 760 mm of mercury. This tells the difference between your ice point as well as your steam point. And the point to be noted is the boiling point of water differs with the applied pressure. Let's move on to the temperature scale measurement, and here the first is absolute temperature scale, and this scale assigns 0 temperature to a material which has no thermal energy, or in other words you can say it as no molecular vibration. Now in this absolute scales we have two subdivisions. The first is the Kelvin scale, which is denoted by K, and the next is Rankine scale, which is denoted by degree R. Now similarly, as you have studied it in the previous slide, both the scales have ice point as well as a steam point. The ice point of Kelvin is 273.15 K and the steam point is 373.15 K. And for the Rankine scale, again the ice point is 491.7 and steam point is 671.7. Now relating both your Kelvin as well as your Rankine, the denotions are given. Next to the absolute temperature scale, we have the relative temperature scale, and let us have a small assumption here. The melting point of ice as well as the boiling point of water occur at a fixed temperature at a standard atmospheric pressure, which is 14.7 psi. In the absolute temperature scale, we studied about two scales. Can you recollect them? Yes, it is the Kelvin as well as your Rankine scale. Here in your relative temperature scale, you are going to see about your Fahrenheit scale as well as your Celsius scale. Again, the melting point of ice or your ice point is called as 32 degree Fahrenheit and boiling point is 212 Fahrenheit. And for Celsius scale, the melting point is 0 and the boiling point of water is 100. And here to be noted is this differs from absolute scale only in a shift from 0 axis. So this is the diagram of temperature scales, which brings in both the absolute as well as your relative temperature scales together. Now the first Fahrenheit, which type it belongs to? It belongs to relative. Rankine and Kelvin are absolute, again Celsius is relative. Now they have given what are the boiling points as well as freezing points in your diagram. Now when they ask question about your absolute as well as your relative temperature scales, you will have to draw this diagram too. So moving on to the last temperature scale, it is the International Practical Temperature Scale, which in otherwise denoted as IPTS. Based on the number of basic and secondary fixed points that can be used for calibrating temperature measuring instruments. And here the fixed points are developed by normal atmospheric pressure of 760 mm of mercury, and there are 3 points to be noted: boiling point, freezing point and the triple point. So the boiling point is the temperature at which the substance changes its physical state and becomes gas. Freezing point is the temperature at which the substance changes its physical state and becomes solid. And the triple point is for a particular temperature and pressure at which three different phases of one substance can exist in equilibrium is known as triple point, which includes solid, liquid and gas. So with this we have come to the end of the basic definitions and the scales of temperature measurement, and in the next modal session we will study about the types of filled-in system thermometers. Thank you.